Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Who's This Guy? The only show on YouTube where I'm on a mission to play and talk about as many games as possible until I completely lose my mind. And good news, team, I'm well on my way. On today's episode, the most controversial game in the Need for Speed series. I said this last time. I guess every game in this crazy series has been controversial in its own way, but there's one entry in particular that caused quite a stir with a return to full motion video cutscenes, an attempted edgy, super sick vibe, and the rain-soaked streets of Ventura Bay open for you to explore. Oh, and also loads of first-person fist bumps and bro hugs. This game's weird. It's Need for Speed 2015 edition. Chapter 1, Boots on the Ground. I've mentioned previously that the Need for Speed series has been on a pretty turbulent journey over the years, with multiple entries oscillating wildly in quality. Well, for the 2015 series reboot, I guess, developer Ghost Games decided it was time to revisit some of the themes from the popular Underground games, as well as fan favorite Most Wanted. Not that one. That's the one. Which meant a return to full motion video cutscenes with a ragtag group of misfits trying to rise up the ranks of the underground street racing scene. Lots of car upgrading, and man, these wet roads look awesome. I'm about to say a lot of mean stuff about Need for Speed, but I don't think anyone can deny that even almost 10 years after its release, this thing still looks insane. By the way, I'm just going to call it Need for Speed because that's what the developers chose to call it. It's not my fault the gaming industry has this insanely confusing, stupid naming convention. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, I'm looking at you. Yes, Ventura Bay is a sight to behold. They really nailed that late night empty city streets vibe. The hazy orange glow on the freeways, the 2 a.m. strip malls, the early morning light breaking through the clouds as you wind your way down the mountain roads just on the outskirts of town. Speaking of early morning light, this game takes place entirely at night and then sometimes a little bit at dawn. And although this looks really awesome, there are occasionally very strange moments where you feel like you're on the set of The Truman Show and the guys in the control booth were like, it's meant to be morning, hit the switch. And then 15 seconds later, someone else up there was like, no, they weren't ready, turn it back. It makes all of this feel a bit Twilight Zone-y, like you're stuck in this endless loop where as soon as you get to morning, it flips back to the start of the night again. And the only way to escape is to ascend to the upper ranks of the local street racing scene, I guess. Speaking of which, Chapter 2, what's cooler than being cool? Now, you can't talk about this game without talking about street racing, and you can't talk about street racing without talking about my sick crew. The racing in Need for Speed is periodically bookended by full motion video cutscenes to remind you that everything you're doing is in service of helping these drop kicks. You've got Spike here that no one seems to like. He likes going fast, man. He's not into this pussy drift and shit, even though you see him drifting all the time in his races. Amy here is a mechanic. She's a tough lady. She don't take no shit. That's Travis. He just kind of seems to be a dick. Then there's Robin. She enjoys hanging out with these guys in pigs masks instead of finding it incredibly frightening and creepy. Oh, and she also likes telling you that she's starving, and then she takes the tiniest bite of pizza the world has ever seen and then closes the box again. He's like, I'm full. What is that? And last but certainly not least, we've got Manu. He's all about that Zen life, man. Like drifting and meditating. It's all the same thing, man. You gotta get in that flow state, brother. He also enjoys body slamming Spike and stealing his hat, and also having a hearty cup of nothing. See, there just happens to be a group of real-world race drivers hanging out in the underground street scene in Ventura Bay, and your crew wants to get their attention, challenge them, and ultimately, take over the scene, I guess. This plot is super forgettable, but it was pretty fun to see real-world racers like Ken Block and, oh my god, it's Vaughn Gittin Jr. from Shift Unleashed too. I wonder if he's going to ruin this game as well. Anyway, it's pretty amusing to see these real race drivers in these scenes with actors that are just hamming it up to the max. There's definitely a so bad it's good vibe going on. Spike in particular, who I actually saw show up recently in a really good English show called Happy Valley. This guy is giving about 400% goofball energy, which makes sense considering everyone in this game is constantly drinking Monster Energy, which actually also makes sense considering this game all takes place at night and no one seems to sleep. Maybe this story is actually amazing. I mean, the fake social media posts certainly are. They basically changed my life.
First to finish wins. Makes sense. Maybe. Oh, that's right. I don't have a garage.
Look, I do have to say your mileage may vary with the story because I'm a big fan of over-the-top, cheesy, so bad it's good entertainment. So there's every chance you'll see this stuff and go, this is terrible. What's the matter with you, Sam? Let me know if you found this stuff fun or if you think I'm an absolute raving lunatic. The good news is that at the end of the day, all this stuff I've talked about so far is just window dressing. This is a driving game after all, and the driving is good, right? Chapter 3. No. Unfortunately, I think this game controls horribly. These cars kind of feel like boats. Like when you get up to speed, they lurch wildly side to side. And this really isn't helped by some horrendous input lag, at least on consoles. PC team, let me know if this is an issue over there as well. There's this bizarre thing going on with the handling where as soon as you nudge the controls in any direction, unless you immediately counter steer back the other way, your car just continues floating across the lanes. When you combine all this with the input lag, you end up with these really frustrating situations. You'll be in a race and your car will start to do this float off to the side. You see traffic way up ahead that you should be able to avoid, but you know you can't because the controls aren't going to respond in time for you to avoid the traffic. So you end up crashing. You re-enter the race, another loading screen. You watch the race intro, unskippable cinematic, listen to the dialogue of someone saying, enough talk, let's get this going. And then you do the race again, you crash again, stuck in this loop of retrying and maybe I'm just bad at the game though. Let me know below. I honestly think I spent about 10 of my 40 hours with this game just retrying races. Then again, this all fits in pretty well with the whole Sisyphean torment endless night loop vibes, so maybe it's secretly genius. I will say the drift events fare a lot better. This kind of floaty, oversteery, lurchy driving model means your car gets sideways really easily. Although they clearly didn't tweak the AI enough for these drift train events where you're meant to be cooperatively doing these awesome long drifts with other drivers. They're jostling to get into first position, almost like they've got race AI going on. I'm on your team, man. Come on. It's also pretty cheeky that the game fronts up like it has all these different disciplines. The drift trials, the drift trains, the Tuge. All these events are basically just drifting. And then even the Gymkhana, that's just drifting again with a time limit because they tell you that you can do jumps as well, but you ain't giving me any points for the airtime. I see you Need for Speed. The game encourages you to set up your car for the different disciplines, like throw some tires on, tune your differential, but I never really found a setup that felt good for me outside of the drift events. Let me know below if you found a setup that worked well for you. It's a shame because Ventura Bay has a really cool vibe. I've seen people say there isn't much going on in this open world, but I actually really liked the amount of collectibles that were spread around here. It's not like in a Batman game where they're like, hey, do you want to collect 400 of these? Need for Speed wants you to collect like 20-ish vistas. They're worth seeing. Oh, the water treatment plant. Oh, the petrochemical plant. To be fair, some of these are pretty good looking. You've got donut spots to collect with different flavor names, which is a nice touch. Choc and Chip. The fuck is Choc and Chip? I've heard of Choc Chip. I think this one might have been named by Tommy Wiseau. Ha ha ha, I love Choc and Chip. It's my favorite. Oh, while I'm talking about collectibles as well, I was really enjoying finding these car parts, but then I read this tweet in one of the loading screens that said we're stealing these. The fuck is wrong with you people? There's also drift corners and speed runs and plenty of other side activities, and I enjoyed these a lot more than the main races, which I'm guessing is not what the developers were going for. The police are present here, but I found them to be a real non-factor. I think it may have been a bit of a mistake to put this mission in the game where they ask you to get into a cop chase for 5 minutes and get the highest level of heat and escape it. I just went up and down this road super slowly, driving in circles, and then when the 5 minutes was up, I just drove away and everything was fine. From that point on, I was like, these cops aren't going to be a problem at all. But open world hijinks aside, by the time I was done with this game, I was so sick of this driving. These visuals in this world and these Fruit Loops deserve a much better driving model at the center of all this madness. It just wasn't to be this time around. Chapter 4, Lost Highway, starring Bill Pullman. I ultimately came away from Need for Speed 2015 edition thinking this whole thing was a real bummer and a massive missed opportunity. There are so many things to like about this game. The visuals are stunning and the moody atmosphere of that midnight empty city feels awesome. The vehicle customization is really good as well. Like, I don't normally get too far into this stuff in most games, but it was really easy here and I found myself getting really attached to my cars, which is something that I haven't really experienced since like Need for Speed Underground 2. The story, while totally cliched, is told in a batshit crazy entertaining way. And the way that they integrate your current car lineup into the live action scenes is really impressive. It never failed to make me go like, look, that's my car. But all of this just doesn't matter because God damn it, this game feels so bad to play. And no amount of stunning visuals or cool looking cars or Manu staring lovingly into my soul can change that. Yes, I ended up taking over Ventura Bay and becoming the ultimate icon of the street scene, but was it worth all the madness? Well, I got to meet Spike and this dickhead and the rest of the crew, and we had some fun. Maybe we'll get the chance to see them again in the future in something that drives just a little bit better. Thanks for watching my video, everyone. I really appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts below on Need for Speed 2015 and if there's any other games you'd like me to check out. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps a lot. Oh, and if you didn't like the video and you hate my face, please subscribe to the channel because it causes me great harm. If you have a moment, you can check out this video right here. If you've enjoyed this one on Need for Speed, chances are you'll like that one as well. My name's Sam. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.